Can't nobody be free unless we're all free. It's no me and no you, it's just us. Street preacher, what a fan once called me. I've been called worse and tried to live up.
Has this great idea of splitting events into two. There are two kinds of events in his mind: big brand events, which are events that get people out just with name recognition. Think in your head about a partner who might be able to host a big brand event. Their name is on a flyer, people automatically turn out. Who's a partner who might be able to host an event like that?
We're trying to get one coordinated with our campus activities board.
Okay. And when they host an event on campus, people will show up?
Yeah, it's the marketing power that they have, so they kind of have like the monopoly of marketing around campus. So just that they have that power to hit the doors, the cafeterias, all the classroom buildings with their marketing.
Another example. Yeah.
My chapter will partner with the radio show on campus as a way to have like broadcasting with different people, just to sort of like spread out the message on different platforms.
That's awesome. And the other type of event are all hands events. And all hands events are where everyone has to be on board in order to get the turnout we want. And Charlie has said this is what most of Esser's events are. We're getting to a place where our brand is really powerful and can drive turnout on our campuses, but most of our events require really intentional plans for how we're going to drive turnout. So, have anyone heard of the Midwest Organizing Institute? Is that the right name? Midwest Organizing Institute? Yes. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, my previous boss actually worked with the Midwest Organizing Institute, and it is, they kind of train you on just what it says how to organize. One of the most useful things that I got from the organization was a kind of a strategy chart where you kind of plan out campaigns, and it has like goals and resources. It actually allows you to categorize different things so that you can, plan out your campaigns better.
Awesome. And a lot of what I've taken from our workshop today is from them. And how they talk about turnout is, I think, every organization has to make a decision and have a conversation about the glue that holds their campaigns together. And that glue can either be command, control, and coercion, and forcing people to do things, or voluntary commitment. And usually the conversation that has gone at Esser is driven by voluntary commitment. And then what that means on our end is that we have to do really intentional relationship building so that when we need to get that voluntary commitment, it happens. The coercion is much quicker, and we can get people to do things very quickly, but our organizing model thrives on voluntary commitment, and that's the reason why relationship building is so key. So, really basic question: what are relationships in this work? I want you to think about with your tables and talk for 2 minutes about what are relationships in this work, and what are kind of the values of the relationships we seek out in this work.
Sounds a little artificial.
All right, I'm going to bring it back. Okay, one key theme from each table, starting with Cindy.
The first time we started with was just like sharing stories of self with friends. Like everyone knows where each other's coming from.
What's that? We're going to share one for me too.
The idea of just keeping professional relationships and also making maybe whether or not the professional relationship should or should not be personal, and it affects the level of commitment that you might have towards the mission statement.
I guess a support system, because like what we're doing, we can face a lot of backlash, so like the officers are going to be there with you in a certain way, so they can definitely be there to support in case, you need it.
I was really proud to say what they was saying some of the core values.
Key takeaway.
We just said like responsibility, humility, tenacity, dignity, let's choose it. Yeah, like a mutual relationship when people get something out of the relationship.
I love that. A lot of things you guys just touched on were a lot of things I want to share on the slides that you're not going to be able to see. But I'm going to ask this table to read out this slide. There are 4 kind of key takeaways that the Midwest Organizing Institute highlights that are important in organizing relationships. So we take the computer and just popcorn around and read the 4.
Read one.
Yeah.
Rooted in shared values, identify choice points in life journeys. Why have these choices been made that bring us together?
exchanges, not transactional, looking for relationships of learning, growth, and action, and shared common purpose.
Created by commitment only becomes a relationship when we commit our most valuable asset, which is time. And I'll do 4 as well. Generate shared learning and growth, which is nurtured over time, and it acts as a primary source to sustain motivation.
Awesome, thank you guys. So that was a lot. What I want you to do now is on the paper in front of you, you're going to draw a cycle. And this cycle is going to incorporate the 4 things we just mentioned and the things we just talked about. And I want the cycle to demonstrate how you develop a relationship and how it's strengthened over time. And so you can create 4 little images along that cycle that touch on the 4 pieces just mentioned, and I'll bring around the slide. So a cycle, 4 images along the cycle that demonstrate how we build and grow relationships over time. And do that on the paper in front of you.
Can we rename those 4?
Yeah, I'll bring it around.
Thank you.
Oh, here, I wrote it down.
You got it.
Right here.
4,
Come out, I like how
2, 3. Do a quick mental inventory of who you talked to, how you felt during this interaction, and keep that in your head because we're going to come back to it later. What about the 3 I'm about to turn it over to Kenneth. Real quick, growing body of research that says leading with warmth is more important than anything else. 90% of our first impressions are made up of evaluating the person we're meeting in 2 categories. One is warmth and one is fear. So when I meet someone new, we're automatically judging that person and saying, how warm are they? Do I feel a sense of trust? Do I feel I'm in a community with them? And then I'm also evaluating and saying, how strong are they? What's their sense of agency? How competent is this person? To me, that says building relationships is so key in this work. And before we can do anything and start thinking about turnout, we have to have a wide network of relationships that are built on trust and a shared commitment to growth together. I'm going to turn over to Kenneth now, and he's going to run through what a successful turnout strategy looks like.
Cool. So, thank you, Josh. You did awesome with relationship building. And relationship building has everything to do with turnout for your event or whatever you're trying to plan. So really quick, we just get up and stretch. I know y'all guys got up to talk, but blood flow's good. Blood flow's good. Just make sure you're awake through this whole thing.
Maybe just do a little yoga session.
Yeah, Jeremy, you would. Hot yoga.
Alright, so do I hear some thunder? Okay, that's the only reason why I did one. Okay, so, why is turnout important? It's a question, not a joke. Yeah.
Well, you don't want just an event where just your group's there, then it's kind of pointless, and you definitely want to engage more people into what you want them to notice and what you want to try to accomplish.
Cool. Yeah. Anyone else?
People in power are convinced by money or organized group of people. So if you show a lot of legislators, constituents, then you have a lot of power.
Right. So the demonstration of power, you don't want to just put in all this energy for an event that no one shows up to because that's pointless. Any other ideas? Should I move on? Okay. So, because your event can look like this and have this amazing rally outside of the mayor's office in New York City, and it can be super powerful, super intense, or it can look like this, and you can sit myself crying, thinking about you put in all this energy into an event, and you are just upset, and no one's there, and it's just a dud. And I'm. Oh, okay. Yes. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah. So it's just this is the worst, and I've had both happen. For turnout, I've had really awesome turnout for an event, and then I've had events where it's just spent money, spent time, spent energy, and no one showed up. So turnout is not a favor that you're asking people for. So when you try to turn people out to an event and you're telling them like why they should come to an event, you shouldn't feel like you're asking them for a favor. Instead, you should feel like you're providing them with an opportunity to learn about something or to get something out of your event. Because I'm hoping that when you create events, that you're not just doing it for the sake of creating an event. Like there's a purpose and there's a meaning behind it. So you have to make sure that when you're turning people out, that you realize that the meaning behind your own event and realize that you are providing them with an awesome opportunity to learn, to grow, to participate in something. So what is a turnout strategy? A turnout strategy is a plan that includes a targeted audience, elements that are included for your targeted audience, outreach, partnerships, and resource availability. And so going back to partnerships goes directly back to what George was talking about with relationship building. Like you have to create a relationship to create a partnership. And then also, maybe your targeted audience is going to be the people that you connected with in your relationship. So it goes directly back to what George was talking about, relationship building. And then turnout outreach is 80% of your event plan. So like you have logistics and you have to figure out like volunteers and stuff and the purpose of your event, even though that should like happen before you can start planning your event. But like getting people to come to your event is the hardest part and like the part that is the most rewarding, but can also be the most difficult, and it's definitely the most time consuming and definitely the most resource consuming. So that's why like, resource availability is a huge part of it, and you have to be very focused with your targeted audience and the elements to include your targeted audience. So on the last slide, we had a point that said outreach. So here are the two elements of outreach. We have medium and we have touches. So can anyone tell me what I'm talking about when I talk about the medium? Yeah.
Just the target which you're choosing to make that outreach, so whether or not it's like physical marketing, so flyers, some kind of like buttons or something, whether it's like personal, you have kind of like a trickle down effect, like the chain of people you're trying to get your message out to, social media, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's the way in which you're going to reach out to people. Like, how are you going to talk to other people? So what about touches? Does anyone have any idea what like the idea of touches are? Yeah.
I think it's the number of times that you talk to someone or like tell them about the event that you're having. So maybe you tell them the first time, get their information, you call them, remind them.
Yeah. So it's like it's kind of how many times you've reached out to them, how directly you've like contacted them about your event, and how directly are you going to get them to your event. So just going a little bit more to medium. A medium is a reach out technique, basically. Like how am I going to reach out to people? So here are the like different types of mediums that like I came up with when I was thinking about all this. Different ideas that I thought of, or different ideas that I used. Can anyone think of any others? Does anyone have any questions about anything?
We chalk something.
Chalking is cool. Yeah, that's a good idea.
What do you do? Chalking?
Presenting at other groups' events.
Presenting at other groups' events. Very cool. Yeah.
Dorm storming?
Dorm storming.
Ooh.
That's a huge one. Yeah.
Also through academic departments, so like getting different department chairs to send things out and then having teachers in like targeted departments talk about events.
Very
And
cool.
maybe doing extra credit for classes and stuff.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, so those are all like really, really awesome techniques. And so we're kind of also, with some of these techniques, we're also kind of getting into the idea of like the degree of touch that you're creating. So like with dorm storming, like someone talking about it my event instead of just like posting it somewhere. As far as presenting at other people's events, I think that goes kind of along the same idea. I think that's actually another good technique. I didn't even think of like presenting my idea to other people, but that's a really good one. But so that we're kind of getting into the idea of touches. So a touch is like contacting people about your event. And so, like Lindsay was saying, you want to try to get to someone and tell them about your event as like often as possible. But the higher number of touches you have doesn't mean that the higher number of touches you have, it means how directly you've made that contact. So, like, I can send you a Facebook invite to my event like 8 times and reach out to you through Facebook 8 times without it being directly to you, but that's still, to me at least, the first touch because I haven't made an extra effort to make it more direct to you. And so the amount of touches has nothing to do with, like, if you're on your first touch or your second touch. A first touch on Facebook might be like, okay, I invite you to the event on Facebook. Then the second touch would be, okay, I like share it in a group, in a specific group that I know you're in, or I post it on like Facebook on as my own personal status or something like that. That's another degree of touch because you're personalizing it more. You didn't just go through all your contacts and like invite everybody. So that's kind of like how I think touches. And so now we're gonna do like an activity. So yeah, go
I wonder
ahead.
if I could ask you, like when you have done an event in the past, like can you walk us through a story of like how you all planned the touches, like for like maybe for March Madness, like first touch Facebook, second touch, like all the, I don't know how many, if you did 5, like I don't know how many you did, but I'd love to just hear this example.
Okay, so the event that Catherine was talking about was called Ed Madness, and it was like a basketball tournament that we did in Minnesota to connect community members, college students, and education reform partners, and put them all together and like just have a fun event where we can like connect people around who care about education, but also just want to have fun and not always like in such a like, I don't know, uptight environment. I don't know. But and so I had to do outreach to a bunch of different targeted audiences. So I connected with like community leaders who I knew would pass it out because I built a great relationship with those people, and I had them send out emails or contact them in any way that they thought was best. So for some of it, like I delegated to them and said, like, all right, however you can connect with your network, please do and send it out. For college students, I really focused on Facebook, Twitter, because I knew a lot of college students were active on that. Did a lot of flyering. Went to like the rec center and went up to the basketball court and just literally started handing out flyers. And then, so that was kind of like a second to third touch for me, just because it was more direct. And I also invited all those people on Facebook initially, because I just know people that were up at the basketball court, and I knew like they're interested in basketball at least, so they wanted to come, and then if they didn't already accept my invitation on Facebook, I made sure to handle the flyer and talk about it a little bit. So that's kind of one form. I also sent out emails. And then another part of it was after I got all those confirmations, I made them sign up on a Google form. And then after I got all those confirmations, I got their contact information, and I made sure I reminded them twice to come to the event. So not only did they say yes, but like a few days later, I called them to give them a few updates about the event, just to keep it in mind. And then the day before, I called them to make sure that they had a ride and planned to get there, make sure just to remind them, but not just calling them and say, hey, tomorrow's a tournament, make sure you come out, but also giving them a real conversation, because you want to make sure that you're a real person too, and you care about something that they need to get to your event. Yeah.
Just follow-up question. Why, when you called the final time, why did you make a plan for them for how they're gonna get there?
Because if you make a plan with someone to get to your event, they have to actually think through like a plan. So like maybe they haven't thought of a plan for some, like, especially for like college students. Like they have a lot going on, and like they'll say yes to coming to your event, but they may not actually know how they're going to get there because it wasn't on campus. So asking them for like if they have a ride makes it so that like you're investing in them to like help them figure it out if they don't, and also just to give them to make sure that they have in their head they figure it out like how they're going to get there. Because like all of a sudden they might wake up and realize, oh, my mom's like at work today and I can't go, or oh, I'm going to be somewhere else at that time. Like how am I going to get one place to another? So that's kind of why I asked them about the plan. So, and then the idea of 2 touches after they say yes, or as many touches as you feel necessary, is like really, really important because they said yes, but like making sure you invest in them and remind them that to come to the event is important. So, so now we have an activity that's kind of tied to George's activity. And so I need 2 people who will volunteer to be a turnout captain. 1, 2, nice. Okay, so you 2 pick what audience you want to, like, who's your target audience?
You're supposed to let you know.
Yeah.
Individually or
Together.
You can collaborate on. What do you feel?
We found college students.
I'm with it.
College students. All right. So now you 2 can go in the hall for. I'll give you. What time are we in?
11:15. Oh, 11.
11.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give you 7 minutes.
Maybe we have a little.
11:15.
Okay. 10 minutes. I'll give you 10 minutes to go outside, and you are creating a real outreach plan to get all these people to come to your turnout event. And I will give you more instructions like in a second. I'm just gonna like talk to them first. So let's start thinking through stuff. Okay. No cheating. Okay. Huh? So what I'm handing out to you now is I'm handing you out mediums to which, like, these are the only mediums that you can be contacted through on this note card. Yeah. Okay, so I just handed you a card in which, like, these are the only mediums that you can be contacted through. And so, like, you are college students, so you have to make sure that their outreach, their advertisement, is targeted towards you. So, like, make sure that there are things that, like, a college student would turn out to an event for. So, like, they wouldn't just turn out for, like, a really good discussion on stuff. like there has to be, like, free food. I think the 3 things I got of were free food, like fun, and yeah, we can go picture. And I don't know if they'll think into that.
Free stuff in general.
Oh yeah, free sweat. So free food, fun, something like a fun element, and then free sweat. So make sure it has at least 2 of those things before you will decide that you're going. Also, the 2 people that were our turnout captains, like, if you had really good conversations with them during, like, George's networking activity, like, if you had a good conversation, you only need 1 touch. So, like, 1 general touch from them. If you had, like, you kind of said hi, or, like, you talked really briefly, you're going to need a 2nd touch to turn out to this event. And then if you didn't talk to them at all, you're going to need 3 good touches to come to this event. So it has to be a very personal touch. The 2nd one has to be somewhat personal, and then the first one is, like, pretty general. All they know about my event.
So do we still have our roles from like
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're going to...
How does that apply to like college?
is going to be a college student. And then everyone else is like whoever their card says they are. And their goal is they want to get as many college students there as possible. And like if they get the elected official there, if they get I don't know, the community leader there, that's awesome. But like they really want to connect with the college students, so they have to make sure college students are coming. And they also have a budget, so they have a $100 budget, and so they can use like all the stuff that I talked about on my first slide, or my earlier slide, this stuff. And like, I think these two are free, this costs money, this costs a different amount of money, so radio costs money. So like they have to like actually, they have to pay, or they have to like allocate resources appropriately. And they also are going to have to actually do these things. So I'm going to give them a little extra more time since I've given a lot of directions to you all, but like they're going to have to actually create a Facebook event outside to go with time constraints. They're going to have to, if they want to do an email invite, they're going to have to draft an email. They're going to create a poster. That's why George just walked out the poster paper. And so like they're going to actually have to do this stuff, so it's going to be really fun. But yeah, I think I can talk about everything so far. Are there any questions? Cool. All right, I'm going to go connect it now so you all just hang out and sit tight. So yeah, they're creating an awesome turnout strategy right now, and so as we all wait for that awesome turnout strategy, does anyone have any like questions about like relationship building or turnout or anything? Any awesome comments, or want to share any awesome practices that they have at their events that they've planned already?
I was just going to say that the Obama campaign is one of the grassroots groups that did the most research, psychological research, on what turnout strategies actually really scientifically proven to work. There's actually a whole New York Times article about the whole team of psychologists and sociologists working with the Obama campaign on it. So there are 4 things that are like proven to increase turnout, and Kenneth has actually already covered them, but I just wanted to highlight them as like particularly cool and kind of nerdy. One is the plan making. If you make a plan with someone, they're 4 times more likely to show up than if you just reminded them to come. So saying like, what bus are you going to take? Like, who are you going to walk over with? Like, what metro stop are you going to get off at? It's actually the mental process, like the neural pathways that make your brain think about like steps that actually make someone more likely to show up for something. The second thing is triple confirming. If you can get people to say yes 3 times, it is, again, like that's something about like saying yes 3 times. People are like much more likely to come. The third thing is the idea of a flake rate, which is always, so the typical math for a flake rate is if I need one person to lead my training, the typical math is ask 4, 2 say yes, 1 is lying. So like hypothetically, like it only means that of everyone you ask, only 25% are going to come. So hypothetically, if you need 200 people at your event, you're going to need to like personally ask at least 800. So you should think about how can you get to a point where you're actually like asking 800 so that you can get 400 to say yes and 200 to actually show up. And the fourth thing that's like scientifically, which is this, again, psychologically proven, is when you make that final reminder phone call, there are 2 emotions that you want to convey. One is importance of like the individual. Like, hey Kenneth, like, you know, we're totally counting on you to lead our training. I'm so excited for you to be here. Like, we couldn't have the training without you. So it's essentially like you want that person to feel crucial. And then the second emotion, we just call it FOMO, fear of missing out. So you want someone to feel like they're crucial, but at the same time, you want them to feel like everyone else is doing it. So like, Kenneth, we can't do it without you. And as you know, all the other state captains are going to be there. So it's, in some ways, those are conflicting. Like, if all the other state captains are going to be there, like, why is Kenneth crucial? You want to make someone feel crucial and have FOMO. So those 4 things are like some of the best tactics to turn on. Yeah, you're a couple.
Yeah, so we're talking about triple contribution yes 3 times. Can that yes take the form of social media RSVP, or does that not count because it's not actually touching?
We have in the past counted the Facebook yes sometimes as the first yes if you get people's phone number, because the thing is you want on the second yes and the third yes, you want it to be over the phone or in person because the conversation goes.
I was in North Carolina like 2 days before that kickoff event. I was also dealing with like other stuff, and so like I wasn't on top of like my outreach part as possible. And then other people also had like just things going on, and also just on our campus. By the time we set our date so that it wouldn't be in the midst of like everyone trying to like reach out to like freshmen. But we also set it at a poor time because like that was when like classes really started like kicking people's butts. So I think people were just like really focused on classes at that point in time. And so that was an event that I really wish more outreach would have been possible. Thinking about like Esfermin as a whole, I don't know. We've had like a few like events that were Esfermin, but like one chapter basically just led the whole charge in it. And so usually those type of events don't turn out as big as like our other events. And so like collaborating with other chapters in your states is like so important because they will help you with outreach on like different levels of different campuses. And like you never know, there might be like a writer in like one of the chapters that would be able to like write about the event in the newspaper some way or somehow. Or like there might be someone who's the nephew or niece of an elected official that can reach out to all those constituents. So you just never know.
Cool. Also, do you ever have a document that keeps track of all the touches that you've done? Like, what is the way that you've always like?
How have I just kept track of it?
Yeah. A model doc or something.
That's a good idea. I just kind of, I just kind of do it by feel. So like, if I like, I'm reaching out to a lot of people. Like, so for this event that we're doing right now, like, Facebook invites like over 1,000 right now, but like, not as many people have joined as possible, like as we wanted, and we don't want anywhere near 1,000 in that room. That'd be awful. But so kind of going back to the idea of like, we want a certain amount of people in the room, so we're gonna ask like 5 times as many people that we actually want to be there. But yeah, we haven't created, so I just kind of feel it, and like I feel like, oh, like you usually come out to our events and you haven't joined the Facebook event. Like I'm gonna make sure that you're gonna join the Facebook event, and I'm also gonna send you this Google form. So kind of the Google form is that idea of like trying to keep track of everything that's confirmed. And then like if they filled out the Google form, like that means I've reached out to them for the 3rd time, and it's been most direct, so because I've sent it directly to them.
Yeah.
And so like then that's when the reminders kick in. So like after they've signed up on the Google form, like I've already asked them for their emails and their phone number. So I'm gonna call them or email them, make sure that they're coming. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Hi everyone.
Hello all, hola. My name is Ruben. Me llamo Ruben.
Oh, nice.
And my friend here, mi amiga, es.
Sydney, hello. Hola. We're having an internship fair for education internships over the summer for college students who are interested in working there. There's going to be a variety of different options that you can get involved with over the summer. They'll have kind of their own station speech.
And to speak a little bit more about that, we know that most of you guys are here in your college looking to study and find something you're passionate about, and hopefully that you can apply it in the real world. And we're here right now to give you an opportunity to do so. Give you an idea to mobilize and to use your ideas in the field that you are passionate about. and here we talk about education. So whether it is that you are interested in your career trajectory, or you like working with youth, or you like meeting cool people.
Yeah. Even if you don't know much about it, it's a good, first of all, summer internships are a great way to kind of figure out if education is actually something you're interested in, if that isn't something you know you're involved with right now. And also there will be just like a lot of different people from our community and from our campus that will be there that you can meet. We're advertising in different ways.
I don't know if any of you guys listen to the radio. I got my own show out there. It's a cross between folk and hip hop. We call it Folk and Proms. And over there, I don't know if you guys have heard it, but we have a radio. I am a radio host, and maybe if you guys listen, you guys will hear my message that I'll be putting out there for our event coming up on Friday. And maybe hopefully you guys can get a friend out and come check it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We got some fresh food, and we have a lot of friendly faces waiting to meet you.
Yeah, there will be a lot of food. I'm also a writer, so I put in the newspaper an advertisement, which is not only speaking to college kids, sorry, it's kind of small, but there's a picture of the student union, which is where we're having this event, which maybe all of the people at this campus know about, but some community members may not know about. And while the internship fair is great for college students who are looking for jobs, it's also different options, many of which, like nonprofits, are no cost to community members who might be parents who want to find a productive way for their children to spend the summer, maybe something different than they've done in the past. So we'll also have a newspaper ad going. We have flyers that will be around campus.
How much?
And, and a Facebook event that we've invited you all to, which is summer.
What's the name of the event? It's Turn Up for Turnout. We present the Career and Internship Expo.
You make it public. You make it public.
It's right here. It's
I was gonna put it up.
Oh, it should be on that page.
Oh, did you read your paper ad?
I can read it aloud. So come to Lake University Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. to learn about summer internships and educational opportunities for younger students. Whether you're a parent, college student, or community member interested in education, stop by for free food and to learn more.
So I hope you guys have all enjoyed our presentation. We hope to hear back from you and from your RSVP reservations. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Si tenemos preguntas, tenemos personas para ayudarle.
All right, so raise your hand if you had a really good conversation during the networking activity with these two individuals. Okay, so did they reach you through one of those mediums on your card? All right, cool. So you have 4 people showing up. How many of you are college students?
Yeah.
All of you are college students? Oh no, I meant of the 4 that only need. All right, cool. So you would have 3 people for sure showing up. Of your target audience. So who had an okay conversation with them?
We were doing okay.
Like you didn't have like a good conversation with them, but you like talked to them at least during the networking event.
During the previous activity that we did, when we walked around and introduced each other as the person we were on our cards, if you had an engagement with either one of us, whether it went pretty swell.
No, one. Did you get 2 touches with them? Did they have like a more direct?
Yeah, I have chocolate touches.
Oh, you had a personal, you had a direct one. Nice. Okay. So that's.
Oh, let's go one more hand.
Spanish speaker here.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. That's important. That's important. And then who didn't talk to them at all during the event? Okay. So how many of you got like a third touch with them? Like they contacted you in 3 different ways and was somewhat direct.
But they didn't get the main one you gave us.
What was the main one? Oh, they didn't give you Twitter. Oh, they didn't do it on Twitter. And was Twitter the only one that you had on your card? So that you didn't get turned down? Okay. Okay. So, how many of you felt like based on the cards and everything, you turned out to this event with the amount of touches that they Wow, look at that. So that's a good amount of people. Very nice. So any thoughts about, like, from the 4 people that didn't turn out, like how they could have reached you? Or what were your mediums that they didn't use?
This was Twitter, but I mean, I think that some of the things that they did would have reached us. Like, are you saying that we wouldn't see a newspaper, we wouldn't see a flyer on campus, we never would hear them speak? They're just not on our radar.
Yeah.
It was like, is it Twitter specifically, or is it Twitter as like a medium versus social networking?
It was Twitter specific.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So like you're the college student that's like super active on Twitter, like you're always checking Twitter, and like that's the only way you get updated.
On Facebook and the Spanish speaker aspect.
Okay.
I'll just say from experience, there have been certain groups of people that we've only been able to contact via Twitter. A lot of times that's seems kind of weird, but local journalists. So sometimes it's because they get a million emails and they're not on campus, but we want them to cover the event, so they're not checking their emails. So what we'll do is, like, we'll get a bunch of members to like all tweet at them, like at Alexander Russo, who's like with USA Today, like at Alexander Russo, have you heard about our event? At Alexander Russo, did you know that 80% of S4Min members are students of color? Like, have you met us? And then he'll tweet back like, no, I haven't. And then we'll say add me, I'll direct message you. And sometimes through Twitter, we've gone through like a conversation and then a direct message and then a phone number. And it sounds weird, but there are definitely groups of people who are like only on one form of like communication.
What about you, Daniel? How come they didn't reach you? Why weren't they able to reach you?
Well, like, they did get like a whole college aspect in this, but like I feel like I would, if it was a flyer, I would have been more likely to go to it, because like I've been to like events that were on Facebook, but like they would like never show up, so I'd be like, oh, okay.
So were you a Third Touch
Yeah.
person? And what was your forms of, what was your medium?
TV, radio, Facebook, Twitter, and phone thing.
Okay, so TV, radio. So they had a radio ad
And flyers.
and flyers, but they didn't get the Third Touch. But you didn't get a Third Touch because radio ads are only a First Touch, because like that's not directed at all. So like they may turn on the radio near you, they may not turn on the radio near you, like you never know. So and then there was no TV, there was Facebook, right? But again, that was just like a general invite. So did you like share that Facebook? Did you share that event on any pages, or did you just like create the event?
Just sort of on our club's page and all the news feeds that came with it. I mean, each member in our club shared it, so the more people that you can share it to, increases the amount of people that were most likely to see it. So that was our strategy, thinking that we use Facebook's platform.
But did you actually do it? Like physically, when you were out there, did you share it on other people's pages?
I mean, just your page.
Okay. So you didn't reach out to me.
He's gonna be your person.
So, but you still turned out like a good amount of people, right? Probably 75% of the room, 80% of the room. So, nice job. So the last part of this was just any reflections. So like any thoughts, either for aspects from like being a turnout captain and like, or anything from the crowd that you wanted to talk about, or anything about relationship building, like any like takeaways that you're gonna have.
I think that it's interesting to talk about those 3 yeses, because I think that is a lot harder and it takes a lot more time and effort than people actually realize. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, Facebook's really easy, but being able to talk to 25, 30, 40 people 3 times over takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I think having, I don't know, it'd be interesting to hear like how that realistically works for day-to-day events.
because like they'll have buy-in in the event because they put time and energy into it. And also, like if if you reach out to all of your members and tell them to reach out to like a couple of people, like that's much larger than just your ego. So you can definitely delegate and definitely like strategizing how you're going to get 3 yeses. So like knowing that your goal is to get 3 yeses from everybody and like finding that